I won't keep you for long. I'll probably just hang out here for about 10 minutes, but this needs to be talked about. So if you're running Facebook ads at all right now, and really honestly, in all of 2020, we saw a lot of ups and downs. You know, in the beginning of 2020, it was normal. Then from March to May, ad costs were like the cheapest they had been in like 5 years, because everybody was home, everybody was on lockdown, and the way that they were connecting with people and keeping in touch with them was through social media. And their attention was there, and their attention was there for a reason of curiosity, wanting to connect to people. People were starting to wonder, like, what does this mean for my business? So they're paying more attention maybe to ads, things that would benefit their life or things that would benefit their business. Hey, Connor. Hi, Tito. And so they were paying attention, and they were reading, and they were clicking on ads. They had time on their hands to learn a new craft, or to, you know, join a new group, or about a certain topic or something like that. And then what started to happen, at least in the United States, was when we hit Memorial Day weekend and the George Floyd murder happened. Then what happened is everybody went on social media and they were outraged, right? And people were talking about the things they were outraged by. They were sharing information. They were talking about, you know, really hard things. Hey, David. And what happens during that time is that people now are really, really distracted by the narrative and what's being talked about and what's going on, that they ignore ads. And so then we saw ads really tank during that time and not do very well. And as we got closer to the election, and as other things started to happen in our country, ads really got very, very expensive, and they weren't performing as well. And we had this really high expectation, probably this hope more than an expectation, that after the election, after Q4, after the holidays, ad costs would go back to normal. And the reason for that is because historically, that's what happens. Historically, ads are more expensive in Q4. And then by January, we're back to normal and ad costs go back down. And so there was this big hope that that would happen. I still always in the back of my mind thought, I don't really think things are going to get back to normal till probably February this time, because it's an election year, because we have the inauguration, things like that happening. I thought, you know, I think the newsfeed's still going to be really noisy, and we're probably not going to see costs come down until February. Hey, Brian. And so let me just help people understand why any of this matters. The newsfeed, the Facebook newsfeed, is affected and run by and influenced by human behavior, right? Those people who get on Facebook and they're interacting, they're clicking on things, they're buying things, they're converting, they're signing up, they're engaging. All of that human behavior affects ads. And people don't understand, like, they're like, oh, I didn't really think that that would matter. And here's why it matters, because your ads are affected by behavior in the newsfeed. If more people are clicking, if more people are converting, if less people are clicking, when people are upset about something or worried about something or talking about something or sharing their opinions about something, they tend to ignore ads because they're just out there looking for places to engage with people and either read about something or talk about something. Hey, Remy. And so when people's behavior is, their attention is distracted. So their attention is on Facebook, but it's, what I mean by that is their attention is distracted by the conversation happening in the newsfeed. That will affect your ads. Versus back from March to May, the attention was on the newsfeed, but people were looking for stuff. They were looking for engagement. They were looking to solve a problem. They were looking to learn more. And so those are two very different things, where you have a lot of attention on social media, but they're there with a different purpose, with it wanting a different outcome, with a different attitude even. Hey, Yuki. And so that causes the ads to perform differently. Okay. So when the audience is on Facebook and life is just normal, okay, it's just quote unquote normal, what it used to be, ads can be affected by any major thing that happens. So let's say, for instance, there's a hurricane coming to the East Coast in the United States, and it's big and it's huge and it affects lots of people. Well, those people that are involved in that hurricane, they're either not on social media at all, or they're there because they're sharing different information. So that can affect how ads would perform for people on that side of the country, right? So when people's attention and behavior changes online, your ads will be affected by that, because people are either, when people aren't clicking on ads as much, they're ignoring the ads and they're not clicking. Well, then that makes your click-through rate go down. And when your click-through rate goes down, your cost per click goes up. Okay. So it gets more expensive. Or what sometimes you'll see in a very distracted audience is maybe they're clicking, but they're just not converting. And so you'll see that your conversion rate will drop, whether it's on sales or a webinar sign up or whatever it is. You may see that you're like, well, I'm still actually getting clicks and good reach because the attention is there, right? The people are there. So you're getting this good reach, but your conversion rate dropped. So anytime there is something happening in our world, or especially in the country in which you're targeting ads to, and it can even have a trickle effect to other countries because we all have friends that are in other countries, so they see what's happening in our newsfeed. Anytime something major happens, you can expect that it's going to affect your ads. So when the pandemic hit, we expect that it's going to affect ads. It actually helped ads in a very good way. But then the George Floyd incident happened, and that affected ads in a very negative way because, like I said, people were distracted in other ways and they weren't interested in clicking on ads and engaging in that way. And then you have an election, again, very distracted. And so what I call it the newsfeed being volatile. And so a lot of times people hear me say the newsfeed is very volatile right now. And what that means is that the way people are engaging is chaotic. There's a lot going on. People are sharing a lot of opinions. People are doing a lot of talking there. And so they might be clicking on stuff because they're looking to read about information that's happening, but they're not necessarily converting. Okay. And so, hey, Travis. So, that makes it hard, right? And the question becomes like, well, do I turn off my ads during really volatile times? Do I change my ad copy? Do I change my budget? And so here's what I would recommend that you do when things are very volatile. And like I said, sometimes when things are volatile, it'll work in your favor and ads will be really cheap. That is very rare though. That was a one-time incident that happened early in 2020 where the whole world for the first time ever was on lockdown and people were online and they were looking for things to do with their time. And so costs went really low. Normally in a volatile time, ads will get expensive. Okay. And so as we're heading into the inauguration happening in just 8 days, and who knows what is going to happen after that, the newsfeed is going to continue to be volatile. Okay. It is not going to settle down for a while. And so what does that mean? And here's what I don't think that it means. I don't think that it means that you should just ride it out, turn the ads off and give up and say, well, I'll just ride this out and I'll come back to it later. Okay. What I do think that means is that you need to be a little bit smarter with who you're targeting. I would target a lot more warm traffic than cold traffic right now. Okay. So that means people on your email list, anybody who who's purchased from you before or signed up for anything with you before, for now until the iOS 14 change comes, which we'll talk about in another Facebook Live. You should be retargeting people who have triggered any of your pixels. You can retarget people who've engaged with your page or who follow your page. You can retarget people who have watched any of your videos you've done in the past or who've engaged with one of your ads. And so I would focus a lot of your ad spend right now on warm audiences as much as possible. That is going to keep your ad costs down. Those are people who are already familiar with you. So when they see something from you, they're not as likely to ignore it. Doesn't mean that they won't, but cold traffic who's never heard from you, it pops up in their newsfeed and they're distracted already. They have a higher chance of ignoring you versus your warm traffic might pay attention a little bit closer. So the first thing is don't turn your ads off completely, but I would do a lot more warm traffic targeting and paying really close attention to the cost of your cold traffic. So look at what can I afford to pay to acquire a lead, or what can I afford to pay to acquire a sale and it still be profitable for me? And so therefore I'm going to run cold traffic, but I'm going to make sure that it's meeting these KPIs. I just had a coaching call this morning with one of my clients and was telling him that, because he's saying, hey, it's getting really expensive in the United States for me. And I said, but is it still profitable? Right? So this is when it's going to be really, really important for you to know your numbers and be tracking that. Is how much can I afford to pay to acquire a new customer? And even though it might be more expensive to run ads right now, is it still profitable for me? And so you have to kind of get to this position right now. And I think that I know a lot of my clients are having a hard time with this, where they want it to be what it was. They want their cost to get back down to what it was. They want their conversion rates to be back down to what they were. And a lot of times right now, that's just not possible. And so the new focus has to be, what can I spend and still be profitable? I don't want to spend that much, but I could spend that much and still be profitable. And so you're measuring your ads based on those certain new KPIs, not KPIs of the past, new KPIs, and saying how much, how much am I willing to spend? And as long as those ads to cold traffic are meeting those KPIs, I'm still profitable. I'm still going to keep it. If it's not, then I would turn it off and test some other audiences or some other countries where you can have your ads meet those KPIs. So maybe right now you need to spend more of your money on warm traffic versus cold traffic. And with the cold traffic, what are a new level of KPI, not based on old KPIs, but based on today and what it costs today and what we're seeing today, and what can I afford to spend and it still be profitable? Because if you turn your ads off completely, because it's more expensive to get a lead or a sale right now, you're not generating any revenue. You're not generating any new leads. You're not generating any new sales. However, if you can still run it and maybe it's less profitable, but it's still profitable, then it is worth it for you to spend more than you used to acquire a sale, because now you still have sales and leads coming in and it's still profitable. So that's what I want you to be looking at with your ads with cold traffic, is what is my limit? You need to figure out what your limit is. And not hold on to the fact of like, but it used to cost this, or I want it to cost this. It used to be that. No, we're in a different age right now. Okay. And so it's definitely worth testing some other countries. And I would recommend that you test those countries in a separate ad set, so that you can evaluate just how is this country doing. It's not going to affect the other ads that I have going. I'm not going to add it into the mix. And then if it doesn't do well, it pulls down the performance of the whole ad set. Put them in a separate ad set and test them separately. And then last but not least, the other thing that I would highly recommend that you do is look at your ad copy. Okay. It's so important now. It's always been important. But it's even more important now that your ad copy grabs people's attention and speaks to them in a way that addresses what they are going through right now in their life. If you're targeting people based on health, what is happening right now in their life in January 2021 that has an impact on their health? What is happening if you're targeting fitness, if it's wealth, if it's relationships, if it's business, whatever it is? You cannot hold on to that ad copy you've been using for the last 6 months. You cannot hold on to that ad copy you've been using for the last year. A lot of people will say to me, well, I've been using this for like a year. It's been working great. And now it stopped working. Well, it's because people's state of mind and what they're going through right now is changing rapidly. It used to be pretty consistent. So you could get away with writing out an ad for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months with the same ad copy. But it is changing so rapidly right now that you need to stay on top of your ad copy and make sure that you are speaking to your audience in a way that feels very relevant to where they're at in their life right now. How do they think about this problem? How do they view this problem? How does it apply to what's happening in their life right now? Your ad copy has got to do that, or you will get ignored. Okay. So that would be my best advice. Do a lot more warm traffic targeting right now. For cold traffic, you need to reevaluate what is the maximum amount I can afford to acquire a lead or a sale and still be profitable. And now I'm going to change my KPIs with new expectations based on today's information. And then 3, you need to update your ad copy. And you might need to do that once a month, because things are rapidly changing right now. And the way people view the world and what's going on is rapidly changing. And if you're not staying relevant to that and sensitive to that, it is going to affect your ads. So, and then just last but not least, a reminder of what I've basically been saying the whole time is that when the news feed is volatile, your ad performance will be volatile. And anytime something new happens or something comes out or something's going on in the news, in our world, in our country, whatever, it is going to affect the news feed, which is going to affect your ads. So don't be surprised by this. Don't be like, I don't understand what's going on. My ads were doing great and now they're working like crap. My ads, I was generating leads for $3 before January 6th. January 6th hit, my cost overnight went to $15. Okay. It's not because all of a sudden what I was offering was terrible and people didn't want it anymore. It's because they weren't paying attention anymore. They're paying attention to what's happening in the news and they're engaged in conversation around that. They're not thinking about my ad. They're ignoring my ad. And so I have to, and so I share that because I want you to know, I don't want you to be confused, right? Or I wonder what's happening or something must be wrong. Like, no, there's something that happened in our world and that's going to affect my ads. And so, but if you know what your KPIs are and the max thing that you can spend, then you can say, you know what, it got worse, but it's still actually profitable for me. So I'm going to keep them running. It helps keep you out of responding emotionally and in a panic to a campaign that actually could still continue to produce leads and sales for you profitably. And so I don't want you to respond emotionally. I want you to respond based on data. And so when you see that your ads are fluctuating, even if it gets more expensive, you go, well, it's still within my KPI. It's still within the max that I'm willing to spend to acquire leads. So I'm going to leave it on. Or you might go, nope, I've reached my max. It's time to turn this one off and test some other audiences. All right. So thank you so much for coming on here with me this morning. I wanted to share that with you. I have a new goal in 2021 that I want to engage with people more. I want to jump on here and talk to people more. I really love doing that. And I've shied away from doing it in the past just because, hey, everybody gets nervous on video, right? So just so you know, to keep a heads up, my goal is every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central, which is like 8 a.m. Pacific. My goal is to jump on here for 10 or 15 minutes every Tuesday and share something with you guys, especially because ads and the world around us is changing so rapidly right now. So I hope you guys will continue to jump on here and join me on Tuesdays. If you have anything you'd like me to talk about, feel free to put it in the comments and I might make it a topic of one of my next Facebook Lives. All right. So thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.